Welcome to the Mind is Psychic, where we talk music, addiction, comedy, culture. If you like this content, please leave feedback and subscribe. Let's get into it. On today's episode, I want to discuss pyramids. For about the last month or so, there's been a lot of news stories about new pyramids that have been found, that have been discovered. There have been new ones that there's been more discovery that they found tombs that they thought would be maybe for royalty, but not necessarily. They also found like passageways and like deep down, like 2,000 feet, different areas, different new things in that of that nature. So we're going to get into it today and go over it. Let's get into it. Okay, everyone. As I mentioned earlier in the intro, there's been a lot of news stories. Some are saying they're debunked. Some officials some experts are saying that there's disagreements in the science community or the archaeology community of whether all of this new, I guess you would call it a pyramid, but subterranean, where there's a lot, there was just some new stuff. There was basically it was a vast underground city below the Egypt's Giza pyramids. Scientists are saying that the theory claims, but more experts, other experts are saying that they've debunked it, that they're just saying that it's fake. And these are claiming that it's the vast city. It's really interesting. They're trying to dismiss it as fake, but there were two archaeologists or scientists, so to speak, that found the pyramid of Khafre. I can't pronounce that. Groundbreaking study has defined the boundaries because they use satellite data with archaeological exploration. So basically what they did was the project of the Khafre, it was Corrado Magna from the University of Pisa and Filippo Bondi of the University of Strathclyde in Scotland. So they led the expedition to the Giza Plateau, the second largest pyramid in the world, by using synthetic aperture radar SAR technology. They were actually able to found 5 small room-like structures inside the pyramid using that SARS technology. One structure contained a sarcophagus mistakenly thought to be a pharaoh's tomb that the scientists stated. The new structure, they found the new exposed hidden rooms, but they found the pathways that led them below the surface to hidden rooms, wells, and apparently it's 4,500 years old. The electromagnetic signals were tuned into photonic data, unveiled a larger infrastructure, leading them down to thousands of feet. So there were 8 large vertical structures theorized to be wells and shafts, thoughts to extend over 6,500 feet across and 2,000 feet below ground. I might have misspoke on the intro about the depth, but this was all already deep. The information was sufficient compared to these two. Apparently from these two scientists, they claim that it's legit. There's this battle between, is it real? Basically people are saying that there's wild claims about these growing interests of ancient texts and resources from, apparently they're getting it from Egyptian myths, that these two scientists got that information from Egyptian myths. As Cicelo said, quoting, a remarkable strong correlation between the layout and characteristics of the underground chambers and legendary halls of Am-Atini as describing the ancient myths. Apparently, they were fabled in the Hall of Records, a hidden room believed to be underneath the pyramid complex, or the Great Sphinx containing resources of information about the ancient people and area. Lee went on to say, the Cicelo added, these new archaeological finds could redefine our understanding of the sacred topography of ancient Egypt, providing spatial coordinations for previous unknown and explored subterranean structures. So he's finding it as like a new, one of the scientists that said, hey, along with his co-researcher and scientists, they're claiming that this stuff's real and how, it could lead to, further findings, let's say. And then you've got the people, like I said. So what they did was the project used 2 satellites, 420 miles up in space. And they were sending down radar signals that basically photographed the pyramids. And this is according to a news outlet. And then the data were compiled into images to create roughly a copy of what is believed to be below the pyramids. And that's including the 8 wells. So that's been basically in the news. It started probably, I want to say, third week of March of 2025. I wanted to get a little bit more information on it. I've always been fascinated with pyramids, with Egypt, with Egyptian history, with archaeology. I mean, I can remember being a kid, I just thought it was always cool. But when I saw this, I'm like, oh shoot, they found it to be somewhat older by like 2,000 years or something. Now, I'm giving a give and take for, a period of time. But at the end of the day, there were 2 scientists that saw it. And like I said, the 2 scientists said that it's real, but then other experts are saying they're debunked. But anyways, I'm getting back into why I actually chose this as an episode, because of my fondness and my memories as a kid of loving pyramids. I remember the first time I went to the Luxor, I was in Vegas. That didn't start my love of going to like loving the pyramids. I was way younger than that. But when I actually saw the Vegas, I know it doesn't compare to the original. It's a freaking hotel in Vegas versus the actual pyramids. However, it was interesting. Like the shape and all of that kind of stuff. It's real cool. That's why I really just saw that, it was really, really cool. With that being said, I want to get some feedback, some comments and stuff like that. But what I want to go into a little bit more is, what do you think? I personally, there's so much on this. Like, there's also debates. There's been debates for decades, if not longer, about if aliens created the pyramids, because a lot of the pyramids around the world are very much the same in a lot of ways. Another thing was interesting is, because of that, they're also saying getting back into, like, we're sort of doing the ancient aliens, and they did a lot of that. That's been popping up too. A lot of it is, you can take it with however you want to take it. I find it interesting. Even, let's say it was debunked. Researchers are researchers, and research, especially lately, it just seems like it's all academic, and they're just writing papers saying, I'm debunking this, almost trolling in a way, right? The 2 scientists, they identified the unknown chamber under the tomb of Osiris, which believed to be a symbolic ritual site dedicated to the Egyptian god of the afterlife. But with this discovery of wells and chambers that are under the Khafre pyramid, they're also saying that this is going to rewrite history, which I think is, that's really cool. But what do you think? Do you think that aliens built them? Do you think that it was humans that were just so far knowledgeable specialists Do you think they comprehended the facts of building these structures? And we're talking each block is like tons, right? And some of these, materials, rocks and all of that stuff, they came from thousands of miles away, right? Thousands of miles away. So how did they get all the way down? Especially apparently with, there was no horse. I mean, there was, I guess you would call it a horse and buggy, I'm sure, but that wasn't what the slaves who they're claiming who built him. If it is humans, it was a ton of them, and it was over many decades, and there was many deaths. But let's say that this is legit, and they found they found the structures that are, like I said, 2,000, 2,500 below the pyramid with like the 8 wells in different rooms and stuff. And they're also saying that it's also may not be just for, there are also rumors that it was for like regular common people. But anyway, I digress on that. I thought it was really interesting due to the fact of, I just thought it's a cool little, we would do this cool little episode. And so I also found something. I'm fascinated. Like I said, I'm fascinated with this stuff. I'm fascinated with the history. Honestly, the pyramids are really closely associated with the ancient Egyptian culture, where they built these grand monuments as tombs for their pharaohs. The Egyptians are credited with building the first pyramids, but they aren't, like I mentioned before, they're not the only ancient cultures that built these structures. I mean, even earlier, you have the Mesopotamians that built. It's fascinating, like even all those thousands of years ago. I mean, I have a list of the oldest pyramids in the world. So we're not just talking about Egypt, Asia, Middle East, Africa, all of that area. We are talking about worldwide. So I'm going to name some of these off. Forgive me for my pronunciation of these. So the oldest one is it was the year, I'm going by the name of it, the years built, and the location of the said pyramid. So the first one, the oldest one, is Pyramid of Djoser, and that was built in c. 2667 through 2648. So decades, of course, to build it. And that's going to be in Saqqara, Necropolis, Egypt. Okay, that's interesting. Then you got Karla Pyramids, C2627. It doesn't really have a finish date. And that's in Karla Super Valley. That's the one in Peru, all the way on the other side of the world. Then you've got the Pyramid of Midium, 2600 BCE. As I'm figuring it out, we're talking about BCE. So the C really has nothing to do with it. That's my bad. So with that, and I could be wrong about this. So these are all like way older. Like I'm always used to we're always used to AD and BCE and stuff like that, right? I just find it's old as, yeah. So the next one is Bent Pyramid. And this is, it was built in 26. Again, another one that was built in 2600 BCE. And that's in Deshura, Necropolis, Egypt. Then the same year built in the same region, same town. Anyhow, in Egypt, it's named Red Pyramid. And then you have the Great Pyramid of Giza, built in 2580 to 2560, and that's in Giza. Pyramid of Khafre, 2520 BCE, Giza. Pyramid of Menkaure, 2490 BCE, and Giza as well. I'm going to also go through I'm starting with the oldest one. This one, oh, interesting. So the Pyramid of Djoser, the oldest one, it's still standing. And the location, as I mentioned, is in Saqqara, Necropolis, Egypt. I didn't know there was a city named Memphis in Egypt, because it says Northwest City of Memphis. How cool is that? I mean, why wouldn't, of course, these towns have probably been, city in the state of Tennessee in the country of the United States is 249 years old. These are these civilizations are thousands of years old. So of course they would probably have, of course we name towns and cities after this stuff. So it's no wonder why they're that old. But then you've got the Kara pyramids still standing, or partially still standing. And this is the one I remember of seeing. I mean, I think I've seen most of these on like Ancient Aliens and stuff, but this is the one that's partially still standing in Peru. It's pretty neat. I remember seeing that, and there was a lot of like scientists. And then you've got the pyramid of Midium, and that's still partially standing, and that's just south of modern day Cairo. Then you've got the Bent Pyramid south of Cairo, and it's still standing. Red Pyramid, of course, that's also south of Cairo, and that's still standing. And of course, we all know the Great Pyramid of Giza, probably the most famous, at least in Egypt, the most famous pyramid, if not worldwide. And that probably, since it's like almost flagship pyramid of like the world, it's still standing. I'm sure I'm not sure if they must, after all the thousands of years, I'm sure there's gotta be some preparation and some, restoration that goes on. So I'm sure. Again, this is just, and then you've got the pyramid of Khafre, that's in Giza, and that's still standing. That has like the pharaoh with the pharaoh statue or bust. And then the eighth, so the youngest is also, it's the pyramid of Menkaure. That's in Giza, and yeah, it's still standing. And I got all these facts from, I don't use that Wikipedia stuff. I remember in college, the professors always say, never use Wikipedia as a reference. Never use it because it's open source, basically. Well, how can I say? You used to be able to, I don't know if you can still, but you used to be able to edit it. So but I like to use like .orgs as a reference, because at least there's a little bit more backing, I guess, more realism, more, yeah, you know what I mean? Just something more official. And you're more tend to believe this than an average writer, let's say, in the New York Times. Not saying that they don't have their facts. I'm just saying that, these are just, I like to use I like to have it in front of me so I'm not talking out my butt. Yeah, I mean, I find this super fascinating. We'll see, honestly. We'll see how it works and how this will come up. Yeah, I mean, I want to continue to see how this story plays out, because it looks like I believe there's always been a battle, but I've also done some research lately and watched a video of a experienced in the field archaeologist saying that a lot of these, there are a lot of just educated in the field that actually never go out into the field and into the dirt and play with it. They're back from their desk. They're in their desk typing along and writing these research papers and stuff like that. Whether that's true or not, I'm really not sure. I find this super fascinating. I know that was like the 100th time I've said that. I don't know what I believe. Everything seems to be with the whole alien side of it. I want to think that actual humans, were that inclined about mathematics, engineering, and construction fabrication back then. That would be awesome. And then something happened and we didn't. Well, I mean, think about it like this. There was technically running water and ways to light up things by using the sunlight back 2,000 years ago. So even doubling that, I mean, I don't see, maybe the world just, not saying they got dumber for a period, but who knows? I mean, we really don't know, right? Until we actually find out what's going on. Yeah, we really don't know. I just, let's see what you think about it. But my honest opinion is it would also be cool if the aliens came down and provided this information on how to build, and they built, and then the humans built it. The other side, especially with the whole ancient aliens side, was the idea of it was so precise, especially with like the Peru pyramids, that they were so precise that even today's technology apparently couldn't make exact cuts and engravings like this. Not sure what that's all about. Again, I just find this stuff really interesting. They say they have facts. You know, I remember, like, even as a kid, whether I didn't know anything about the facts, you know, I just knew that there were very old structures that were around in different areas. I mean, like I said, there's some in Mexico. They're all over the world. It's just incredible that even that long ago, and now they're talking about subterranean, like deep subterranean rooms and halls and different types of works like that. So I'm definitely going to keep up with these stories. And if I find anything more, I'll definitely make another episode. I'm trying to reach out and do topics, more cultural news topics, I guess, because I don't want everybody to be mugged down with just the routine of behavioral health, addiction. I want to kind of split it up. Probably in the next couple, I'm going to go back into music, and I want to actually go over with the pyramids. We're going to do probably with the pyramids. I'm going to work and see if there's any more updates. I mean, there's updates daily, but if there's any more updates in the next coming months, I think that would be a really cool situation. And, you know, maybe we'll get more. Maybe they'll find more. I believe they also found some in, Asia in some place, some type of structure. I think it was a pyramid, not 100 factual. I don't have that information on me. I know I'm not prepared. I just wanted to throw this together. Like I said, I did a little bit of research, and because I'm so interested in this stuff, the fact of it's so old, and whether it's aliens, whether it's people, they're cool structures, and they've tested the times. They've tested for most of these, for them to still be up after all these thousands of years. I mean, that's, with the weather, it's just so amazing. And were these actually made for just pharaohs and the royal class? Or are there actual burial grounds that are just for, you know, regular people? Who knows? And we will find out more. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe and leave a comment. You can hear me on all major platforms and socials under the Mind of Psychic podcast. See you next time.